moving on to the third segment here. That's health and harmony. I'll just drop the info card there again for you. So, uh,
Well, this one is health and disharmony. It's like,
well, actually, that's fitting, right? Because this is the whole point. So the topic of this one is how are we taught to deal with stress and health? And I know we have. When I hear the word stress, I actually feel like stress is one of those words that it makes you feel exactly how the word is. Saying the word
yeah,
stress makes you feel stressed out. So I try my best to avoid this. And I think you actually did um, some work on this too with us in our childhood as far as words that are associated with that to change the scope. For
yeah,
example, instead of saying things are hard, which are generally
yeah,
invoke a level of stress or stress inducing emotions or feelings, we would say it's challenging, right? So where other
yeah,
people have words in the house, swear words, the F word, this word, that word, that you're not able to say in the house, that was still the rule here. We just didn't swear. Not because actually swearing was bad necessarily. I actually think it was more because there was a pride in being able to express yourself or articulate yourself in words. And if you've read enough,
yeah.
then you should be able
You
to do
should be
that,
able to.
right? I feel like a lot of people, when it comes to swearing, they swear because it's the way that they know how to express that strong emotion, but they don't have the words to actually do it, and so they do that. But anyway,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I digress, as they say. But so I'll open it up with this question: that did you ever feel pressure to stay strong for the family, even when you were overwhelmed?
Yeah, all the time, man. Yeah, like that comes with just being. Yeah, this is an emotional topic. Yeah, yeah. A lot. Yeah, sometimes because remember when you're there's so many things you're trying to do, and for me, yes, coming from Jamaica where I was doing well, right, in one of the like the highest paying type of job, and then come and you have to start over, right? And there's a lot of stuff that you'd like to do, and you feel like breaking down, but you can't do that. That's not. You have to just you have to suck it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Keep
yeah,
on, keep on, keeping on. Yeah, and I think as you know, as I grew older and you come into your own, you start to. One of the things that happens, I'd say, in your early 20s is that you start to see your parents as people. And that's a situation, that's something that you have to navigate too, because you realize all of it was stressful. Nobody had all the answers. As Kanye says,
yeah,
you ain't got the answers, right? Nobody has all the answers, and you just kind of do what you can with what you got. And if you're able to do that, then you have to live with the outcome. But the intention is not always equating to the outcome, right? To the outcome that you want, and things. There's other factors. There's other people at play, and so you kind of have to just make do. When it comes to stress, I feel like the best that you can do for your kids or for your friends or family is to try to help them equip tools to be able to navigate stress on their own for when you're not there, but also realize that it's important to know that real friendship and real family are there for you when it's inconvenient. And this is something that you mention quite often is you're not a friend when everything is good. It's easy to be a friend when everything is good and you're going out and there's no worries, but are you there when things are tough, when it's inconvenient, when you're sleeping, when your friend needs somebody to move in the middle of the night and nobody's answering, right? Now you know who your real friends are, right? So that's kind of, or now who you know who your family is. And over time people start to see, you know, one thing with you, Dad, for a lot of people, you're there one moment, you're gone for the next year, 2 years. And then the
yeah,
moment they need something, you're there again. And I found myself being that type of person with a lot of the network that I have, where people know that they can call my phone and we can skip time. We don't have to do all of the niceties, right? The how are yous and just jump right into it. And I do take pride in that. There's boundaries that need to be set as you get to a certain point because again, as we talked about in the previous podcast, for every yes that you say or for every situation you say yes to, you're saying no to many other situations. And so when it comes to stress, I feel like and your kids, you want to make sure to be able to equip them with the tools to be able to navigate it by themselves. I feel like that was done here where you didn't bail us out. I know one time
Never, never
I
bail out.
know you brought me downtown. The first time you brought me downtown, and one of those days you said, "Okay, find your way back home." That was tough. You just I had to find my way back home, take buses. Um,
Yeah, this
this
is
was
the
in
thing.
Ottawa. Take one bus, go completely the other way. Have to ask the bus driver, get out of your own shell. Ask people, okay, I'm trying to go here, and eventually I found my way back. I was like what 13, so it's not like I was way too young or anything like that. But again, this is the type of stuff. And I think as a father, one of the things I will do with my kids, especially my sons, is to push them outside their comfort zone. And I think that's
Yeah,
actually the confidence when you talk about stress. It's about being equipped, right? If you're equipped, you're not going to be as stressed. You can still recognize the situation to be what it is. Doesn't mean that you're overconfident or you're not going to be scared. I think I heard a quote that said, bravery is not the absence of fear, but feeling fear and doing
yeah,
it anyways. So it's not an
yeah,
overestimation of self by any means, but it's dealing when stress does come your way. How do you navigate it? And I think both you and mom did a good job of that. And there's times where, yes, you have to let the kids or your friends or family deal with it themselves. You don't want to enable them. But there are times where those situations is not for them to handle or you can step in. I know, for example, with school, I would not have been able to navigate the school system, seeing all the different stuff that they try to,
I
do
get
with
man.
students and right. And so this is where I know, you and mom, the United Front, come in and make sure. And again, any parent would have to do this to be able to advocate for their kids. You have to, because
Yeah,
as much as they want to say they have their best interest, nobody's going to have your kids' best interest more than you or themselves. And so that's kind of where it comes down to. So when I think stress, I'll open it up to you. When I think stress and how to deal with it, you really want to equip as many tools as possible for yourself, but for the people around you. And there's times where you're going to have to be a friend or be a family member, and that's going to be inconvenient. And that's how you navigate stress is that realize you're part of a network. And hopefully, with that network, they're able to hold you up as you are for other people. But you have to do the work for yourself too. I think that's starting to be a theme for today's episode, doing the work.
yeah, doing the work. And how I navigate stress, and I think I try to instill all these stuff in you guys. Is what I said it earlier. One I said piece of it earlier, and most things are reversible. I think most people are going they're stressed out because the thing that's happening to them, they think it's this is a fine there's some type of finality, like this
Mm,
is it, there's never gonna be a and most of the things, if you think about it, this thing is reversible. There's a few things you can do to reverse this thing,
mm,
unless it's like you jump off a building and headway and break your neck or some crazy stuff like that. That's very, but most things in life are reversible.
mm,
And the other thing I used to tell you guys, even when you're really young, I remember Shantae has a problem at school, and you're a young girl, and you just think everything is there's a fine. So I said, let's think about it. What is the worst thing that can happen? Okay. Once you find out the worst thing, then you said, okay, is there anything you can do, right, to reduce this worst thing, and even this worst thing that can happen? Is it actually the worst thing that can happen?
mm,
Then you realize the worst thing that can happen isn't the worst thing that can happen, right? All of a
mm,
sudden, but if you kind of once you shed light on it, all of a sudden you said, okay, the worst thing can happen, I lose my job. Okay, you saying you can't find another job? You know what I mean? This is the
Mm-hmm.
only, you're going to die, you're going to starve, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like then all of a sudden you realize that the worst thing that can happen isn't the worst thing that can happen. And this idea that most things are reversible. Those are the two things I use. I don't even think about anything else. Even if you guys, when you guys were younger and something happened and all the, let's say a game, you lost a game. I said the same thing. Okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? Okay, you have no chance to get back and beat the other team and maybe come back to the,
Mm-hmm.
just accept the worst thing. Okay, the worst thing, you lost this game. What is the, all of a sudden you just go right back to realize that the world, you don't have to be as stressed. I'm not pretending like I've never gone through stress and all that stuff, but immediate, as soon as I recognize, because sometimes when you're stressed, you're not thinking about these logical things. But as soon as I get a pause, there's a pause, boom, I always go back mechanically. Like, is this reversible? Or is this, if this is the worst thing, what can I do to make it less worse? If that's the word, if that's
Mm-hmm.
possible. And soon, even if you don't do anything, all of a sudden that reduces your stress. I'm just going to throw some numbers out, but at least 50%. You're not as stressful anymore. Your mother and I used to have that issue because she wanted me to stress, and I said, no, I'm not going. No, 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 because right, I already gone to the worst thing that can happen, and I'm already start moving back from there. Where people kind of get stuck at the worst thing and start going the other direction of the worst thing, where I accept the worst thing and start moving back to normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
That is the key trick I use. And I've been in a lot of worse things. I can tell you that. Like, I've been in a lot of situations where most people would give up a long time ago. Like crazy amount of stuff I've been through in this world. And I always use those two things.
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, now that I'm talking about it, I've been using this since I was like a young child. And I can't remember where those things came from. And I always think I made these things up. And then I found out, no, other people, these ideas are around, but some of them I didn't learn it anywhere. I just rediscover them. But other people have discovered them long before I did. I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that is the core thing that I use, and I've used it and help a lot of people when I used to mentor young people, and they always think, okay, my life is over, lost my job or something like that, and I said, okay, what is the worst thing that can happen if you lose your job? Know that you lost your job. What's the worst thing can happen? And then let them really define it.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about it. List out all the worst thing. What is the implication of the worst thing that can happen? Assuming, the other thing too, here's the other part. This is more interesting. Most of the time, that worst thing that can happen usually never did. They never do.
Go on.
Called worst thing for a reason.
It's
called worst thing for a reason. Yeah, it's called worst thing can happen for a reason. It's an outlier, right? It's an outlier. It's not going to happen every day. Happen a few times. So yeah, so those are the things I do. I always employ those tricks to deal with stress. And yeah, I was saying before, because I'm looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
So just to repeat this part, this worst thing that can happen, ask them how many times that worst thing did happen. Very few times that worst thing that can happen actually happened. But if it did, a lot of cases, it's completely reversible with a little time, or do something else.
And I would even say there's times where that worst thing that you thought, after you look at it, turns out to be the best thing, either in time. And every time you think about when you look back and you say, man, if I never got fired at this point, I never would have met so-and-so, which turned into so-and-so, and this opportunity here. I'm now living long enough now to see how certain events 7 years ago, 8 years ago, that I was distraught by,
So
you know,
true.
taken aback. And I'm like, man, it's because of that. And I
Yeah,
missed
that
the bus
that
that day and I just what happened to. And it seems like a movie, but really everybody's life is a movie in that sense, right? And the worst
that's
case
so true.
scenario is the things that, right? And I said this before, it's, you know, I want to live my, because of how many moments I've had like that, I said, you know what? I want the things that I regret to become the things that I most appreciate. And that came about when I had went to school for the, you know, university my first year and then left and then came back. And all of a sudden now that's becomes the things that I most appreciated because I realized how the world is navigated, and that switched my scope entirely to be able to focus and wanting to help people in the ways that I do, right? Finding the purpose and moving with
So true.
purpose and intention. So I'm happy with all that. I think that brings us into our fourth segment topic of the day. Again, in the foundations and framework, there is the info card there for some more context.